Hey guys, so I am going to be talking about the Vampire Academy movie today. I went to see it this afternoon. Today is Monday. Well, it's almost Tuesday because it's close to midnight, but I went around 5 in the evening tonight, and you guys better be proud of me because I went all by myself to see this movie. I think this is the first time in my entire life that I've ever gone to a movie alone. And so I went, I paid $11 for a ticket, another $11 for a small popcorn and a drink, and took myself on a $22 date. Kudos for that because I wanted to go see it as soon as I could to do my thoughts and opinions review type of video. First impressions for the movie overall was that it was really good and I really enjoyed it. And I know that a lot of you probably thought I wasn't gonna like it and that I was gonna rain on your parade and I was gonna be a Debbie Downer, but I actually really enjoyed it and I thought that I would. I wasn't, you know, thinking I was gonna hate it or anything, so I'm excited to talk about it. There were a lot of things that surprised me or that I enjoyed more than I thought I would, and then of course there were some things that I didn't love but I thought were still good. So the movie wasn't perfect by all means. And you guys know I'm a die-hard Vampire Academy series fan, so I had a little bit of a hard time getting excited for the movie early on just because I was, you know, kind of upset that it wasn't exactly like the books were, but at the same time, I don't think that's fair. I think that with everything, 9 times out of 10, you're not going to have a movie that is just like the book or that is just as good as the book or that lives up to your expectations. So once I kind of saw the movie in a new light, in the new kind of style that they kind of brought to it, I was more excited to see it. So first impressions, like I mentioned, were really good, really cute. I have a list here that I kind of jotted down some stuff earlier and used to kind of mark some just different points that I wanted to talk about. So this is probably going to get really disorganized and crazy, but we're going to go with it. Starting with the overall kind of movie as a whole, I thought that they did a really nice job in the first book in creating it into the movie because they really covered a lot of the main key basics and key points and scenes, and I think that they did a great job doing that, especially because Vampire Academy, not only as a series, but within the first book, is pretty complex if you think about it. It's not really like any other type of vampire story, so you really have to take the time to read and understand the world. And I remember when I first read the first one, it took me a little bit to get into the idea of the Dampiers and the Mori and all of those elements, so I think that they did a nice job capturing that. It was great because even if you've never read the series or you don't know anything about it, you could still understand and kind of fall into the whole world of it. They got a lot of the main scenes. They started with the very beginning with Rose and Lissa before they got captured. They had them at the principal's office. They went to the dance. They did all of like the hate crimes for Lissa with the animals and the blood on the wall and all that stuff. And then all of the really cute scenes with Rose and Dimitri and all of that kind of stuff. So they did a really nice job with that. I was very impressed with that because a lot of times with book series, they leave out something really big and really significant, and it's kind of like, oh, like that was kind of important for the story. And I didn't really feel like there was anything missing that should have been there, and it's been a couple months since I have read the first one, so I could probably go back and read it and pick something and say, oh, they should have done this. But I thought it was good. I thought it was nice, especially for having to compact a movie into a movie, you know, an hour and 20 minutes, hour and 40 minutes. The characters, I have the most to say about the cast and the characters. So I thought that the main character and the main cast member, Zoe Deutch, who played Rose, was really, really good. And again, I've said this before, but she wasn't exactly how I envisioned Rose and how I, you know, read her as the character. But again, from the perspective of the film, I thought she did a really nice job. I thought she looked gorgeous on camera, so cute, and she had the kind of sex appeal that Rose has. She's very charismatic, very witty, very ballsy like Rose, but I also really liked that they kind of showed her more kind of touchy side and her more sensitive side. If you guys have read, especially through the later on books, Rose is very, you know, ballsy and very passionate and gung-ho, but she's also really sensitive inside. And I think like there were a lot of scenes where she was kind of getting teary-eyed or like her eyes were watering a little, and you could kind of see the emotion in her face. And I think Zoe did a great job of bringing that to life. kind of showing Rose's diversity as a character, even though it's not largely emphasized in the first book. You know, it's not talked about, but with Dimitri and just the interactions, you can see that she is a very compassionate person. I thought all of the main cast members besides her were also really good too, so I liked Lissa. At first I wasn't sure about her because the trailer doesn't really show that many aspects of the actors and actresses, so at first I wasn't sure about her. I ended up really liking her. I thought she worked really well. I wasn't sure that she had the accent. I thought that was a new twist. I'm not sure if they do in the book or not, but both Lissa and Aaron had like foreign accents. I know that the actress Lucy Fry, who plays Lissa, is from Australia, but I don't know about Lissa's actual character, but I thought that was interesting. But I thought all the characters in general were fine. I liked the guy that played Christian. I liked Lissa. I thought Natalie was hilarious. I think Sarah Hyland is so funny on Modern Family, so I thought she was fun to just see because she was really the only familiar face that I knew from something else. So I really liked her. Surprised at Aaron and Jesse's kind of image just because I kind of forgot about them, but I was thinking they were going to be completely different. And it was so funny because Jesse reminded me of, if you guys are 80s fans of John Hughes films, if you've ever seen Pretty in Pink or The Breakfast Club, he reminds me of the blonde kid that's like the nerdy, goofy kid. Not Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles, or The Breakfast Club. It was so funny because he looked just like him, and then when him and Rose were in the rec room about to make out and kind of get it on, he had the sunglasses on that were kind of like the Wayfair look that this kid has in the 80s movies, and I loved that. It was like, to me, like it was a similarity to John Hughes. And then they actually talked about Ducky from Pretty in Pink, if you guys watched that one, when Rose is talking to Mason and she goes, "I don't have time for your emotions, Ducky." That is a reference to Pretty in Pink, and I loved that. I thought that was so great. Impressed with the character of Mia, and I was thinking Mia looked completely different, and I'm pretty sure in the book that she has curly blonde hair. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I was not expecting her to look as she did in the movie, and I actually really liked the actress that plays her. There was something about her on-screen presence that was very interesting to watch, just her tone of voice and her kind of overall look. I really like her, and so I'm excited to see if they do future movies how she is, because Mia becomes more of a friend to Rose and Lissa as the books go on. The most important character to discuss, which is Dimitri Belikov, or Danila Kovlovsky, who played him. I was very surprised with my reaction to this character. So if you guys have watched me talk about Vampire Academy before, I am obsessed with Dimitri Belikov as a character. He is hands down the sexiest, best male fictional character, literary boyfriend, whatever you want to call it. I'm obsessed. I love him. He's just like this beautiful, gorgeous, sexy man, and I just cannot get enough of his character. And I love him and Rose's relationship. Definitely like my favorite couple of all time. So I have to be honest, I was kind of disappointed with the cast choice at first for Dimitri. In the book, Dimitri's character is 24 and Rose is 18, I believe. There's a 7-year difference between them, and Danila is 34, I believe. So to me, he looked a little bit too mature in the face, a little bit older than what I would expect Dimitri to look like. So I was kind of hesitant on that just because I thought he looked a little bit older. I wasn't sure how I felt about the pairing. However, once I kind of watched it, I really got into his character. I think that he did a really nice job of being Dimitri, because Dimitri's still very kind of like quiet, standoffish, and I think he embodied that really well. But I lost it when he started talking Rosa. You guys know he calls Rose Rosa in the book, which is like the cutest thing ever, and he started saying Rosa, Rosa, swooning, and it was so cute. Danila as an actor and Dimitri's character on screen kind of grew on me as time goes on. Again, if I were to read it, I probably would imagine him differently, just because you imagine them as younger. This is going to sound really weird, but I mean, obviously we all that love Dimitri imagine him as like somebody that we would date and love, because that's why we love him so much. So for me, I always just imagine somebody a little younger, more relatable, but his character was really good, and I thought that he still had the sexy kind of portrayal a little bit, so I really enjoyed him, and he definitely surprised me. Really quickly, two more characters. I did not really like how they portrayed the headmistress, Kurova. Like, she was a little extreme with her interaction with Rose at the beginning. I didn't think that was realistic of the book, because she was telling Rose you could go be a blood whore and all this stuff, which was not professional as a headmistress. So I didn't really care for her character. The actress, I think, was fine. And then I was surprised at the Queen, because the Queen I always imagined as being like older, like the Queen of England old, but she was actually pretty young, like, you know, middle-aged, but she wasn't old, so I thought that was interesting. I'm definitely excited to see how that comes later on, but I didn't dislike that or anything. I just thought that was interesting. So a couple of other things. I really wish that the Dimitri and the Rose scenes would have carried on a little bit more, just because that's like my favorite part of the book. Rochelle Mead like is so good at pulling and kind of making you wait for it, and then when she gives it to you, it's like the best feeling in the world. So I thought that the scene between them when they were getting it on because of the love spell and stuff was good, although I do wish it would have been dragged out a little bit more to kind of intensify it a little bit, but I understand that they have to crop stuff because of movies, so that was good. Two, though, were when Dimitri saved Rose from Natalie at the end. I loved that in the movie, or in the book, so I loved watching that because, again, he pulled out the rosas, and I just imagine him saying it in this accent as Rosa, so that was so cute. And then the very, very end, when she goes and is telling him to kiss her because he, you know, lied about his feelings, and he's like, yeah, that was really cute. And I loved it because she flipped him on the ground and she finally got him, which was funny. And I don't remember if that specifically happened at the end of the book. I need to go back and reread them. Honestly, I want to go back and reread all the books now because I can't remember. There's so many details that it's hard to keep up with it all. But that was good. I don't know if that was something that was actually from the book or if they kind of altered it for the movie, but I loved it. That was so funny throughout the whole movie, how they were, you know, trying to interact with the fighting, and she kept trying to sneak up on him and stuff. That was really funny, and I loved it at the end, and I wish that he would have kissed her anyways, but it was so cute, and there's more to come if there are more movies. I don't know what I'm going to do with Shadow Kiss. Really was interested in the set design, and I always imagined St. Vladimir's Academy to be like a very old kind of, I don't want to say medieval. I don't want to say medieval, but very like just kind of ancient looking, like it's been around for a while. It has like those big stone walls and just kind of like the feel of a castle type of institution place, but it was actually very modern how they portrayed it on the camera and on screen, which I liked. Inside, like when they went to the feeding section for Lissa, it was very bright and modern, clean lines in there, so I thought that was an interesting twist, and they helped definitely bring in a lot of the pop culture elements too, like they talked about the iPhone 5 and the Hot Topic thing, and Pinkberry and all that stuff. So it made it more kind of relatable to the real world and reality, which is kind of nice because in the book the only thing we really see outside of the world is when they go to the mall for the dresses, and other than that, most of the time they're in St. Vladimir's. They're all like in that world. I thought that a lot of the jokes were funny. Some were still kind of corny, kind of cheesy, like the trailers kind of were, but I liked a lot of the references and stuff, like the John Hughes one to Ducky and things like that. One more thing I forgot to mention. Thought it was interesting how when Rose slipped into Alyssa's head, how her eyes turned kind of that goldy amber color, and I was kind of curious how they were going to make the Bond show, and I thought that they described the Bond really well, but that was really cool, and I liked how Rose talked about it like out loud, like she would in her head during the books, and then like when she was with Dimitri, she was telling him as they were going what she was seeing through Lissa's mind. So that was very realistic for me, but I thought the eye part was interesting because obviously when we're reading it, we don't see her with gold eyes. It doesn't say her eyes turn gold. So that was kind of cool for the audience to kind of grasp. So I think that's all for right now. I feel like there's probably a lot more I could talk about, but there's just so much that those are kind of a generalized outline of my thoughts. So overall, I would say the movie would probably have a 7.5 to an 8 on my scale. I really did enjoy it. For those of you, again, that thought I was going to rain on your parade, I did enjoy it and I really liked it. I hope they have future ones for the sequels, and I will definitely see those, obviously, and I'm sure do some reviews. But overall, I liked it. I was surprised a little bit by some of it, and I just thought it was really good. So if you have not read the books, obviously I highly recommend that. But I also think you guys should check out the movie, whether you have or have not. And let me know below what your thoughts are once you see it, and feel free to kind of bring up other things to discuss that maybe I didn't mention, or tell me something you thought about it, or if you want to, you can tweet me on Twitter, and I would love to talk and have a fun discussion on the movie. So I guess that's all for today. I feel like there was something else I wanted to say, and now I can't remember. So I guess that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye!